Call to order the May 11th, 2021 Sanger Unified School District Board of Trustees regular meeting. Let the minutes reflect that Trustee Wolf is absent, and I'm going to go ahead and report out of closed session. Under conference with District Labor negotiated, there is no reportable action. Under conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, one case, no reportable action as well. There is a motion by Trustee Solorio and a second by Trustee Hernandez to adopt the amended agenda for the regular board meeting of May 11th, 2021. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? On a vote of 6-0, the motion is carried. Thank you.
There'll be more the American Islander. I want the board to at least approve of that, so I would appreciate the board would take that into consideration and would approve of that and discuss about that. And I want to thank the board for giving me this opportunity.
It's an honor to be here, Board of Trustee and Board President Brandon Vang. So sorry. I want to address to the alternate Board Trustee, especially for Resolution 2021-035. I've been in Fresno County for almost 35 years. And see this, done that, work with communities, especially work with the diversities, and also, especially the mainstreams. I did a lot of crazy thinking for a candidate in Fresno County for the last 20 years. And I want to address it to you. It is important for all your boards to think about and to think twice that the resolution 2021-03, is that important? Is that something for you guys to think about? For me, it is important that we live in a diversity culture communities. And each of us share a different culture. Each of us share a different experience. I want to share you this that maybe you know about it, sometimes you forget about it. I want to share your experience, especially the Hmong people. These beautiful people, they came from a torn country. They came from a country where the government, corruptions, all they want is money. They want power. That's the reason why the Hmong people are here in Fresno County, because of the government's fight for power. We have lost so many heritage. We've lost so many memories. We've lost so many love. Now we're here and we're not going anywhere. And I encourage all your board members, all your board trustees to support these resolutions. It may not be for you, but it will be for the people who that sacrifice so much for themselves and also for this country. But one day, your decision will reflect that, hey, you did a good thing. You did the right thing for this community. And our children, I can show you, our children will appreciate. My sons, my daughter, will care of the nation what you left behind. They will one day will be in your seat. Also cast a vote for someone, for some cultures. Ask for the same thing the Asian community asked for tonight. And I pray that you think of us that we are human beings, just like any other human beings. We might be different. We might practice different culture. I might not be suffering like you or have a good future like you. But tonight I want to ask you, think about what you did tonight. You'll be amazing. Think about how many people is going to appreciate that you sit on that seat and has the power, has the decision to make tonight. The resolution 2021-035 is important for the API's community. And I hope you support these resolutions. And I encourage you to support the resolutions. Because someday, my children will appreciate and will carry your nation to the future. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
First of all, my name is Brandon Vang. I'm a Hmong teacher here at Shanghai. I've been teaching here for 30 years, and I am very, very happy to see everyone here in the process of passing the resolution for Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders. Looking back at the 13 years of experience in teaching my students here, every year I have over 100 students, and my life shaping all these students it's amazing. I look at the way they make progress, they understand about the culture, the history, and tonight I hear about the resolution. I'm so happy. I really want to support. I want to make sure that this passes. And this will benefit our adults that are here today and our children for the future, because here's what happened. Our students right now, it doesn't matter what ethnic groups. I teach almost all ethnic groups that are on this campus. And the students are still in the process of struggling the culture. And I feel like I am the key to open the door for them to get along with the environment during this time, so that they can make a progress and be our leaders for the future. So I am very, very happy to hear what's happening tonight. Finally, I want to make sure that the board pass this resolution so that it will be beneficial to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you guys for this opportunity for me to be here today. My name is Tim Lee. I have my children here attend Sanger Unified. I have a child here at Sanger High. I have one at Sanger West, a new one, and also one in elementary school, and a young one who will soon be coming here as well. I would like to commend the resolution here, 2021-035, and I hope that it does pass tonight. It would, like the gentlemen before me have said before, it would be a great step forward in recognizing the contributions of Asians in general. I would also like to just bring a thought forward, adding on to what everyone has already said tonight and what many more behind me might say, that with even my children and myself, there's a huge culture clash and culture struggle. It's hard enough to grow up because there's such a large concentration of population of Hmong here in Fresno County, and growing numbers in the Sanger Unified School District. It's hard enough to deal with the culture clashes at home, on the home front, with their friends and here at school already. And I just wanted to point out and address that this would be a great start in resolving that, because as I was growing up, I did not really know where I came from. If I was Japanese, I could point back to Japan. If I was Korean, I could point back to Korea. If I was Chinese, I could point back to China, to where my roots. However, being Hmong, where do I point back to? And so, for a time in my younger life, I disliked being Hmong. And until I grew older and wiser, did I appreciate the beauty of the culture of the Hmong people and my parents and the sacrifices that we have to make to get here. I am an American-born citizen here because of my parents' sacrifice to get here. And I think that the passing of this resolution would be a great step forward into assisting and helping with that culture class and the identity crisis that many of our youth face. And so I just wanted to say that. Thank you for your time.
Good evening, everyone. I'm glad everybody could be here to give me the opportunity to come up here to speak for the board. My name is Howard, and I am not only a parent here, I do have kids that do attend the St. Unified School District. I'm also a citizen here, and the reason why I'm here today is to talk with the board in celebration, hopefully with the AAPI resolution. I'm hopeful that the board here will consider that. That I also want to bring out here, and I know that some of my elders and some other Hmong community have brought here, is the concern of just what here in San Diego Unified School District, so that where it hits the ground for the rest of the board here, is that the majority of the population here, in terms of the Asian population, consists majority of the Hmong children, Hmong population here. And with this AAPN, this month here is the AAPN month. Not only that, too, many of the board members here also realize again that this month here is also Hmong Veterans Memorial Day on the 15th. And so with that being said, I think one of the big things that I want to kind of push forward is that not only am I a parent, I'm also a social worker, a patient advocate. I work towards equality. I work towards more, trying to make sure that the things that are lacking in the community will be brought into light. So my hope is that the resolution is passed, and my ask of the board is that to also consider that there is a curriculum for Hmong education, and when I say Hmong education, into the culture aspects, the contributions, the sacrifices, and when I say contributions, it's a contribution, as we all said in here today, we see the teachers, we see the board members, we see everybody in here. We, somewhere in this place here at St. Unified School District, the Hmong people have been able to contribute. And in terms of sacrifices, when we opened up the forum today, we said the Pledge of Allegiance, the Hmong people, the sacrifices that we made during the Vietnam War, Hmong people were actually died 10 times at the rate of an American soldier. And so most of the stories are untold. Most of the people in the community don't understand why the Hmong people is here. Who are we? And especially at this time here, this pandemic, and we see it on the news, we see it on the social media about the increasing rates of just assault on Asians just in general. For me, I look at more of preventative measures versus interventive. Because again, preventative, for me, as what I do it for a living, preventative is to prevent. Interventive is pretty much it's already happening and it's too late. So my hope is that the board here would consider having some sort of Hmong cultural or history, at least, for a week, so that the community, so that curriculum studies, that the students, the teachers can understand why the Hmong people are here and what do we contribute here to St. Unified School District? What do we contribute here to the city of St. Louis? What do we do here for the county of Fresno? And so that's my, I hope that this consideration here will be moved forward. And this year also, and with the prevention portion is, if more people know and people who are educated, as educators here, we always advocate, for myself, I advocate, I teach about preaching, teaching, and the more people know, the more people will understand. And so instead of having this bigotry where people are just kind of targeting certain individuals because of how they look, my hope is that with the education that we can go ahead and give to the rest of the students here, that it would at least allow them to plant that seed in them, so that when they do see somebody, especially of the Hmong population here, they will at least know that, hey, look, the people here, they came because they supported the American government. Many of my family, many of my grandfathers, they've all passed away fighting for the American people. And I know we opened up this forum with the Pledge of Allegiance. I would like to also close with that, with liberty and justice for all, and hopefully, again, the board will be able to consider that.
Thank you, sir.
Hi, my name is Malheur, and I am a teacher at John Wash. I'm also a parent here at Sanger Unified. Thank you for this opportunity to speak on resolution number 2021-035. And, I've been here a long time. I remember coming here being the first Hmong teacher here at Sanger Unified 20 years ago. And, I believe that Sanger has come a long way. We've had our population, our demographics have changed. A little bit about my family for Asian American. My dad was 22 when he fought in the Vietnam War. And because he was educated, he was made to lead a group of not men, but boys to fight the war. And I don't hear these stories a lot because it's so, my dad is so traumatized by going back to these memories. But because he is 80 this year, he wants us to hear these stories so that it's not forgotten. And so this resolution means a lot to me and to my family. Not only that, but in the classroom, I have a picture of myself and Miss Lohr on the wall, and we are wearing our Hmong traditional clothes. And as my students walk in, through the door, they say, "Oh, Mrs. Her, what's that?" So I tell them, "This is who I am. I am Hmong. I'm proud of it, and these are the beautiful clothes that we wear." So I'm happy to see this resolution on the agenda, and I believe that if Sanger takes the initiative, then the rest will follow. Thank you.
The second comment is from Sid Thamavong, who writes, "One of the most important features of our republic is that we are governed by the rule of law, and there is no rule of law without equality before the law. That principle requires the government to treat us as individuals and recognizes that every individual is unique. It forbids the government from treating us differently and labeling us according to some arbitrary government-imposed stereotype. As the late Justice Scalia put it, in the eyes of government, we are just one race here. It is American. I want to share this quote to make sure that there is no hate against Asians. We are all American. The study shows excuse me, that 2,410 hate incidents were reported in the first 3 months of this year and 4,193 in the months tracked in 2020. The third comment is from Chong Yang, and he writes, "As the chair of the Fresno chapter Asian Pacific Islander American Public Affairs, I ask the board to support resolution 2021-035 in the matter of Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. Since the start of COVID-19, many Americans from all diverse backgrounds suffer the anxiety and fear of this virus. At the same time, Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders have seen an exponentially increased amount of hate and bigotry. With our fears and threats to their lives and cannot go out to the park or shop without fearing someone will try to hurt them. This resolution will be a great start to say hate will not be tolerated. The recognition of the struggles and contributions of Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders will help our community understand how much more alike and the beauty of diversity in our great nation of the United States of America." The next comment is from Jim Tao. "Thank you to the Sanger Unified School District Board of Trustees for allowing me this opportunity to comment on this resolution to support Asian American Pacific Islander students, families, staff, and community members. As a proud father of a John Wash third grader, I am both proud and humbled that this resolution is brought forth and wish only that the spirit of the resolution is to unify our community. It would be very remiss of me, however, to point out that should there not be an increase of hate in the general American populace against AAPI communities, including even those as close to home in Fresno, there would be no opportunity to advance a conscientious agenda of love, unity, and respect. It should not have to be that way, and perhaps where once love is only so tribal is where the hate of others be also so purposeful. We must not allow this to be the new norm. Moreover, in years past, AAPI Heritage Month, to me, has always been about the celebration of our unique cultures. From the Chinese to Japanese, Hindi to Filipino, Burmese to Samoa, and even Hmong as myself, the AAPI community's diversity is what makes us as beautiful as what the idea of America is supposed to be. In 2021, however, AAPI Heritage Month has also afforded me to teach my child about more than just the celebration of our ethnic groups. It has allowed me to add onto our collective identity that China virus and Kung Fu are relics of a 2020 fear tactic that affects all of us, as we have seen across the country. As you know, these microaggressions have morphed into the overt violence and killings of elders and members of the AAPI community. The hate speech and actions of various individuals have further marginalized our communities into the others that is consistent with anti-Asian hate rhetoric in American history. As I talk with my daughter about these things, I take solace in knowing that when she enters John Wash at the next school year, she understands how such words can harm her, her peers, and even the abuser, that her response to hate is in a steadfast conviction to protect her friends, which include Chinese and Korean girls. I have to teach her about it because this is what she could be facing in her return, as I have faced in my third grade year when my peers called me derogatory terms. It is only with a purposeful teaching that she understands, and thus it is only with purposeful acceptance of this resolution that SUSD can begin to provide an equitable environment for AAPI students, families, staff, and community members. If SUSD aims to keep our children safe from COVID-19, then SUSD should also aim to keep our children safe from the social ramifications of the virus. Lastly, I also want to thank Mr. Vang and his allies for bringing this resolution to the floor. If not for an AAPI board member, the support of AAPI communities may not be possible without a bit of elbow grease, as we have seen done unto many marginalized communities. This speaks to the commitment of SUSD to a more inclusive environment, and I commend those who support it. Thank you for your time.
Resolution number 20-21-035. Resolution of the Board of Trustees of the Sanger Unified School District in the matter of recognizing May 2021 as Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month, and in support of Asian American and Pacific Islander students, staff, and community members. Whereas the month of May is set aside to honor and recognize the contributions and sacrifices of Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders, AAPI, who have so enriched the history, culture, and achievements of the United States, and whereas the history of Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders in the United States is inextricably tied to the successes and struggles of the United States, and whereas the Asian American and Pacific Islander community is an inherently diverse community comprised of over 45 distinct ethnicities and over 100 language dialects. And whereas the month of May was selected as Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month because the first immigrants of Japanese descent arrived in the United States on May 7, 1843, and the first transcontinental railroad was completed on May 10, 1869, with substantial labor contributions from Chinese immigrants. And whereas Presidential Proclamation 6130, signed on May 7, 1990, officially designates the entire month of May as Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month, and requests the President to issue an annual proclamation calling on the people of the United States to observe the month with, quote, appropriate ceremonies programs and activities, end quote. And whereas celebrating Asian American and Pacific Islander heritage and culture provides others with an opportunity to acknowledge the achievements, contributions, and sacrifices made by Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders to the United States. And whereas according to the United States Department of Veterans Affairs, Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders have been serving honorably in the United States military since 1812. And whereas 23 million Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders currently account for 7% of the population in the United States. And whereas anti-Asian hate, discrimination, and racism are not new and have a long history in the United States. And whereas 57% of hate crimes reported to the FBI in 2019 were motivated by race, ethnicity, or ancestry. And whereas the World Health Organization and the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention recognize that naming COVID-19 by geography or linking it to a specific ethnicity perpetuates stigma. And whereas the intensified use of anti-Asian rhetoric this past year has resulted in a dramatic increase in the Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders being harassed, assaulted, scapegoated, or murdered for the COVID-19 pandemic. And whereas the Center for the Study of Hate and Extremism has found that anti-Asian hate crime in the 16 largest U.S. cities has increased nearly 150% in 2020. And whereas according to the Stop AAPI Hate, nearly 4,000 hate incidents directed at Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders were reported between March 2020 and February 2021. And whereas 12% of the student population in Sangha Unified School District are of Asian American and Pacific Islander descent, and whereas Sangha Unified School District will not tolerate acts of racism, discrimination, harassment, or aggression towards any students, staff members, or community members, including Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders. And whereas Sangha Unified School District denounces the racial discrimination and xenophobia that Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders have experienced during the COVID-19 pandemic. And now, therefore, be it resolved that the Governing Board of Sangha Unified School District recognizes the significance of Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month as an important time to celebrate the considerable contributions, achievements, and sacrifices of Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders to the history of the United States, the state of California, and our community, and recognizes that Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders enhances and strengthens the diversity and richness of the United States, the state of California, and our own community. And be it further resolved that the Governing Board of Sangha Unified School District condemns all acts of racism, discrimination, xenophobia, violence, bullying, or scapegoating, and ethnic, religious, sexist, or gender-based intolerance targeting any students, staff members, or community members, including Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders. And be it further resolved that the Governing Board of Sangha Unified School District will continue to celebrate the diversity of its community and strive for a more inclusive environment, calling upon all students, staff members, and community members to stand in solidarity with those affected by hate, racism, and discrimination, and work together towards healing and recovery with a mutual understanding and common goals. Passed and adopted on this 11th day of May 2021 by the following vote. The yeas are 6, the nays are 0, 1 absent, 0 abstain. On a vote of 6-0, the motion is hereby carried.